Good evening and welcome to the Buncombe County Board of Education regular meeting for today, Thursday, January the 15th, 2025. The mission of Buncombe County Schools is to foster a culture of excellence and continuous improvement where every student will thrive and learn from exceptional educators. Our vision is for Buncombe County School students to graduate on time, prepared to pursue their chosen path as critical thinkers and collaborative leaders in our diverse society. With that, I will call this meeting to order, and if we can all please rise for the presentation of colors. Tonight's colors are presented by Owen High School JROTC, instructed by Lieutenant Colonel Brooke King, United States Army retired, and Sergeant First Class Jeffrey Garland, United States Army retired. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I ask that you remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay, good evening, board. Our first item of business this evening is the approval of our agenda. I have two items that I will entertain a motion for. One, to adjust this agenda before we approve it. One is that the local funding formula topic that's listed in the action agenda, that be for discussion only and not action. I'll entertain a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. The local funding formula will be for discussion only. Secondly, we have a correction for our budget amendment number 1 that we voted on in December meeting. This correction has been submitted by our CFO and her staff with the description of the need for the correction found in the memo. I would entertain a motion to move, to add this correction to the amendment number 1 to the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I believe that's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We will add a correction to budget amendment number 1 to our consent agenda. Well, good evening, everyone, to the public and our board, staff, and students. I'd like to welcome everyone back as board members and staff and students after our winter break. And on behalf of our board, express our appreciation to all of our staff for their dedication to our students during this final week of exams and the culmination of our first semester. This weekend, many of us from BCS will join in the annual MLK prayer breakfast, where we will join with students, staff, and community leaders in honoring the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As a first-term elected representative myself, I've always looked for positive role models, and Dr. King has always served as an inspiration through his words and leadership. Reflecting on some of Dr. King's words today on education, he once said, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." I'm proud tonight, as I read our vision statement earlier, that within our own BCS strategic plan that we can see these words reflected in our own vision statement. that students will graduate on time, prepared to pursue their chosen path as critical thinkers and collaborative leaders in our diverse society. I appreciate our board and all of our staff for working out our strategic vision in that manner and for living into Dr. King's legacy. Regarding our school's efforts to support growth of character in our students, this is also the month where we pause to express our appreciation for our school resource officers. Certainly, SROs help to keep our students and staff safe throughout the school day, during their journey to and from home, and also support the public safety within our students' and staff's communities at large. Inside our schools, though, you can see SROs serving as role models with great character, encouraging students and supporting them throughout the school day as they build positive relationships with our students throughout the year. So on behalf of our board, I want to thank our partners in the County Commission and the Sheriff's Office for helping us develop a truly positive Student Resource Officer program. And thank you again to all of our SROs for your continued service and for being great role models of great character as public servants for our students. With that, I'll hand it to you, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you. Good evening, parents, members of the community, board members, and teammates. Welcome to 2026. With the arrival of a new calendar year and with the anticipation of the start of a new semester, I'm incredibly proud of the student and staff success we have already witnessed this year. Certainly, there remain numerous challenges and tasks to be accomplished, but the absolute focus on supporting our students and staff that I witness daily in our schools, in this building and on this board, make me confident that we will continue to witness tremendous student success. This evening, I'd like to especially highlight Mr. Jeremy Stowe and the Transportation Department. From being on the roadways across our very large and geographically diverse county by 4 a.m. when inclement winter weather arrives, to their continual monitoring of conditions throughout, I'd like to commend our team for their leadership, particularly in the unique set of challenges that weather in the mountains and the valleys bring. I'd also like to thank the Maintenance Department, the Child Nutrition Department, our school custodians, our school leaders, and all of our staff who are so amazing in their collective response to inclement winter weather. Finally, thank you to our parents and families for their flexibility and patience when winter weather arrives as we seek to make the very best decision possible to safeguard our students and staff. As our chair has shared earlier this month, we recognize National Law Enforcement Day, and I also would like to take a moment to share my appreciation for our school resource officers, for our municipal police departments, for Sheriff Miller and the Sheriff's Department, and for all of our law enforcement partners who help us with everything, including inclement weather decisions. We're grateful for all that they do to build relationships with our students and to keep us all safe. This evening, we will hear from our auditors. We do not take for granted the professionalism of our finance department, our school bookkeepers, and the administrators who oversee our very large budget. The annual independent audit allows our Board of Education, our commissioners, and most importantly, our county citizens to know that Buncombe County Schools is an excellent steward of the funds entrusted to it. Finally, this is School Board Appreciation Month. I want to personally thank each of our board members for their service and dedication. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you for modeling what it is to put students first in all we do. We remain committed to loving and supporting each and every single student in our school system. To our team and to our board members, thank you for all you do for the students, families, teachers, and staff of Buncombe County Schools. Mr. Chair, this concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. All right, next on the agenda is good news. Mr. Ulmer, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, board members, Dr. Jackson, BCS teammates. Help with this first presentation as we celebrate our amazing BCS school nutrition team, represented tonight by Director Katie Wyatt, Chad Warren, and Serena Hansen. If you would come down and join us, please. BCS Nutrition recently earned a Healthy Meal Incentive Recognition Award for from the United States Department of Agriculture for its work including the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program and its partnerships with local growers through ASAP, the Appalachian Sustainable Agriculture Project. Our nutrition team incorporates innovative programs with tasty menu options, providing our students with the most important school supply. Congratulations to our BCS school nutrition team. This evening, we honor an educator and administrator for her outstanding achievement in mathematics education. Dr. Johnson is going to help us with this award. And Ms. Plemons, if you would please join us up front as well as we call down Stephanie Buckner-Hill of Irwin High School. She is here tonight with her principal, Mr. Wheelis of Irwin High School. Ms. Hill was recently surprised by the North Carolina Council of Teachers of Mathematics with its highest honor. This is the Rankin Award for her outstanding contributions to math education. She was celebrated for 2 decades of dedication to her students while being a mentor to teachers not only around the Irwin District, but also Buncombe County Schools and all across the state of North Carolina. She is a compassionate leader and collaborator. Ms. Hill, we are grateful for all you do and for your dedication to continuous improvement. Congratulations to you. Tonight, we also want to shine a light on another BCS math educator, and she is from the North Buncombe District. Ms. Franklin, if you'll join us up front, please, along with BCS math coach Nathan Arvey. Tonight, we also celebrate Ms. Jamie Stowe of North Buncombe High School. She is the BCS Secondary Math Teacher of the Year. Ms. Stowe is here tonight with her principal, Mr. Kevin Yantz. Ms. Stowe earned this honor for building a strong community within her classroom and supporting all of her students. She is constantly seeking to refine her practice so that her students have the best experience possible. She is a teacher known for making kids who don't love math so much love math a lot. Thank you for your service to your students and leadership in our school system. Ms. Jamie Stowe of North Buncombe High School. And Ms. Franklin, if you will stay with us, please. We've got some students we want to celebrate tonight, also from the North Buncombe District, yes. These students used research and development to earn honors at the first LEGO Regional Robotics Competition. If we could first have the Windy Bots robotics team from North Windy Ridge Intermediate. They're here with their advisors, Mr. Thompson and Ms. Brillisauer, and Ms. Nichols, their principal. The team of coding engineers includes Cal Phelan, Brennan Thacker, Henry Vodish, Matthew Wooten, Avery Morgan, Holly Grandy, Agnes Craven, Navarra Fritz, and Blakely Showalter. Out of all the teams in attendance at this competition, these students earned the Innovation Award. The theme of this year's competition was unearthed, and students had to develop ideas and machinery that could one day assist archaeologists. The team had to present and demonstrate their ideas before a panel of judges, and obviously, they know their stuff. Congratulations to these innovative students from North Windy Ridge. Also joining us tonight, the Hawkbots robotics team from North Windy Ridge. If you would come on down and join us. This team includes Benny Williams, Benjamin Burkhalter, Camden Byers, Ellis Gibson, Alan Mata, Crystal Crowder, Addison Sunblade, Lila Salter, and Maddie Geiger. This team also represented Buncombe County Schools at the regional competition in Wilkesboro, earned a top score, and the opportunity to compete at the state competition this year. There, the students again put their engineering skills to the test and represented BCS and Western North Carolina and were among the top students from across the Tar Heel State. Congratulations to the Hawkbots robotics team of North Windy Ridge Intermediate. And we'd love to get some more photos of our North Windy Ridge guests down the hall. If you could please follow my friend Michaela, who's holding the camera. She will get those for you. Want to let you know you can find more good things happening all across the school system by following Buncombe Schools on social media and visiting buncombeschools.org. You'll also see the story there of our 7 BCS District Teachers of the Year who will be joining us in person at the Board of Education meeting next month, and we look forward to celebrating them. Thank you, Chairman Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Ulmer, and congratulations to all those outstanding students. Next on our agenda, we have a external audit report from Anderson Smith and Wyke PLLC. Ms. Dennison, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, I want to
Yes, please.
acknowledge that every time this lady comes to town, we have bad weather. She brings a good report. She brings weather.
We'll take the good report, right? Yeah, okay. Yes, you have the floor, Ms. Dennison.
Chairman, board members, Dr. Jackson, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you this evening and share the report for the June 30th, 2025 annual financial audit. I'm pleased to report that the board has an unmodified opinion. That's a clean opinion. That's the best opinion that you can receive on an audit. So congratulations to the finance team, all the hard work that they put in, and really throughout the district. It takes the district to be able to achieve a clean opinion on an annual report. Significant accounting estimates, these are going to be the same as we would report in any district across the state. And the only change from last year is going to be the value of sick leave added due to a change in accounting principles that was required to be implemented this year. This change does not impact fund balance, and really the numbers that we recommend focusing on during the audit and the presentation, they're just presented on additional schedules. We did not identify any misstatements, and we had no disagreements or difficulties with management. We go through a lot of documentation. We ask them to upload information to us. We look at that. We come on site for many days and go through information, ask additional questions, and they were great at being able to get us that information. That is going to be a separate letter. If you would like to follow along the bottom of the presentation, I do list the page number, and you're welcome to follow along to be able to see the numbers in the books that we have. So on page 17, pleased to report that the general fund is going to be the fund that the district primarily gets to keep unrestricted funds to be able to use for the education of students. The district had almost $96.7 million in the general fund. They spent $376,559 into the fund balance. So started the year with a little over $19 million, ended the year with almost $18.7 million in the general fund to be able to be utilized in future years. That's going to be similar to a savings account that you might personally have. That's going to be the district savings account. In the capital outlay fund, the district added $8.6 million to the fund balance, starting the year at $28.8 million, ending at $37.4. I believe in discussions with several people, the add to fund balance in the capital outlay fund was significantly impacted with Hurricane Helene and projects that were ongoing that might have been delayed and kind of reprioritized based upon Helene during the 2025 school year, since that did come during that school year. So capital outlay may have added to fund balance, and those funds may be utilized this year or in future years to be able to continue completion of those projects. The other thing with capital outlay is we have a hard June 30th cutoff, which is going to be the middle of the summer, the middle of when a lot of major projects are going on. So you will typically see a little bit more fluctuation in the capital outlay fund, just because from one year to the next, what's done before June 30th versus the cost of what's done after June 30th is also going to be a factor in the capital outlay fund balance. State and federal grants, no funds are able to carry over. and individual schools are holding $3.6 million. Other specific revenue is going to be primarily grants and specific funds that come into the district with specific purpose. Ended the year with just under $15.5 million. Looking at the general fund, of the total fund balance of about $18.7 million, about $4.5 million of that has been appropriated and to be spent in the 2025-2026 budget, leaving just under $14 million in fund balance if the full $4.5 million is spent in the 25-26 fiscal year. Then jumping ahead to page 19, we look at the budget and amendments that the board approves throughout the year that finance presents and compare them with actual expenditures. Pleased to report that there were no areas in any of the funds that the district was over budget from the budget that you all passed. So again, kind of showing to the fiscal responsibility, the district knew what they were spending, knew where it needed to be adjusted, and did bring those amendments before the board. And that's no easy feat, as typically the state adjusts the balances at least 50 times during the year. So balances are adjusted at the state level as well as various other areas throughout the year. Looking at child nutrition and the child care funds, jumping to page 25, we recommend looking at these funds from a fiscal standpoint on a cash basis and looking at how much the cash changed from one June 30th to the next. That's because various entries that have to get reported on these funds that are kind of accounting basis and really don't show the operations of the program. So during the year, the child nutrition program started with about $8.6 million in cash, ended the year with about $8 million. That is on trend for what we're seeing at districts this year. We are seeing cash balances in the child nutrition program go down. That is across the state. There's going to be many factors for that, including increased cost of food, increased wages, as well as Helene came through and specifically here and water was disrupted. Many of the meals had to be adjusted to different types of meals. And so, again, additional strain on cash balances. For the child care program, started the year with $265,000, ended with $202,000, spending about $63,000 in cash. Jumping ahead to audit findings, we review the financial statements. This is going to be page 77, only from the blue book. You got two different books this evening. They have most of the same information, but a little bit of different information from one to the other. So financial statements, we're going to review internal control. We're going to review how things are processed within the finance department and the balances of the accounts to making sure that the district has appropriate balances in all of their accounts. We did not identify any findings or areas that needed improvement in that. We also review federal and state awards for how the funds are spent, as well as ensuring that all documentation, all reports that are required are submitted on time and properly, and identified no issues with either of those. So again, excellent job both in the finance department and through the district. Many of those programs, we look specifically at different state and federal grants, and again, found no issues. Then wrapping it up with some supplementary information. The biggest thing on this graph, these are not specifically within the audit reports. This is just kind of some historical information that puts some of the audit into perspective. And looking at this, the big one I would say is right there in the middle, the federal funds. And you can see the growth of those federal funds really starting in 2021. 2022 is significant growth and then started to taper down from there. That's primarily going to be the ESSER funds. So in addition to everything else going on, the June 30th, 2025 fiscal year was the last year that any ESSER funds could be spent. They had to be spent by September 30th. And so at this point, you know, all of the difficult decisions and what needed to be done to come off of the ESSER funds, those are now spent and no longer able to be utilized, but that was a big influx for several years to be able to have those ESSER funds and utilize those funds in the district. Then looking at the allocation of how some of the expenditures were spent, 67.6 was specifically instructional, 16.4 system-wide support. System-wide support is going to include things like bus drivers, cost of transportation, custodial, maintenance, a lot of those things that really are necessary and required to be able to get students to school, to be able to support around the specific instruction. And then capital outlay at 12% and other at 3.6%. Others primarily going to be made up of charter school payments. Then looking at fund balance, as you can see, the capital outlay fund balance has grown again significantly last year. A lot of that may have to do with Helene and the disruption of being able to complete projects. Again, timing on projects to being complete as of June 30th. The general fund in the last couple of years was able to increase through conscious effort related to the ESSER funds and having those funds and being able to kind of be able to continue a couple of those programs that were necessary, and being able to look at that and anticipate those ESSER funds going away. That's all I have. Are there any questions?
And thank you, Ms. Dennison.
Thank you.
Great report, and so grateful for our finance department and their hard work, and your hard work in auditing our program to come again with no findings.
Excellent.
Fantastic. So, yeah, sorry, board, any other questions or commentary? Okay. Thank you very much for a favorable report, and thank you to our finance team. All right, at this time, it is time for public comment. We have our attorney, Chris Campbell, will read a statement regarding public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's now time for public comment. As a reminder, speakers will be called in the order in which they sign up. All speakers will have precisely 3 minutes to speak and must adhere to the guidelines set forth in Board of Education Policy 2310, Public Participation, including all reasonable rules established by the superintendent. Profane language, making threats, or revealing confidential student or staff information will not be allowed. Please address the board as a whole, and please note that the board will not be able to respond directly to public comments.
Mr. Chair, there are 5 public comments tonight. First is Alex Ramirez. Just please introduce yourself and the district in which you live or the school where your child attends. Oh, please introduce yourself and the district in which you live or the school where your child attends.
Yes. Good evening. My name is Alex Jose Ramirez, and I work in Buncombe County. I work alongside with our public schools and community organizations. I also was a previous public school teacher. In all areas of my life, from public schools, from parents and community members, and students themselves, I hear the same message. Our public schools are underfunded. With this opportunity to pass a new funding formula, this is also an opportunity to advocate for the funds we truly need. Thank you for planning for the public education system in Buncombe County and for the financial well-being of our schools. But I and other community members have several questions and concerns that have yet to be addressed around the funding formula. Some of these questions are the following. Why is public education the only major budget area based on received property and sales tax revenue instead of projected revenue? Should the proposed rate of funding for our schools not return us to pre-hurricane levels? Does the percentage-based formula strengthen or limit the board's ability to advocate for increased funding? And finally, does 37.76 actually meet the needs of Buncombe County schools? These questions are based on the letter from the Buncombe County Association of Educators. These are just some of the questions that we have. Parents, community members, and even your staff want to be part of these discussions. I want to say thank you. Thank you for moving the funding formula vote to just a discussion today. This will allow more time to research and allow community, parents, and staff to offer input on this important decision. We want to work in collaboration with you, Asheville City Schools, and the county commissioners. We want what is best for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Broussard.
Good evening, Superintendent Jackson and school board members. Sharon Broussard. I am in the Reynolds District, and I have a 4-year-old grandson at Haw Creek in the preschool. It's wonderful. Tonight, I represent Public School Strong and the Buncombe County Association of Educators with concerns about the new proposed funding formula for Buncombe County Public Schools. As advocates for all students and educators across both districts, we believe strongly that our funding approach must reflect the shared responsibility we have to every child in Buncombe County. Moving forward with a model that may not fully meet the needs of the district serving the majority of our students is a step we should consider with great caution. We would also like more information about the timeline of when and how this decision will be made among the 3 boards, along with opportunities for all stakeholders to have input. Tonight, please say no thank you to the Buncombe County Schools negotiators and the county commissioners who tried their best, and then vote no. You don't approve because this funding is just not enough. And ask them to try again. We need you to fight for our kids and teachers and families just as hard as our out-of-state developers and corporations are fighting for their handouts and their tax breaks, because this is exactly what we are up against. Besides, if you can't say, no, let's try again to the county commissioners who do care about schools and are acting in good faith, how will you ever stand up to the General Assembly, which is not? Thank you. Let me add something. Do I have the time? I normally talk about LifeWise Academy and why you don't want to approve them. May I reiterate, I know that they're coming to Buncombe County Schools, going to be asking for approval to get in. Please do not vote them in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent Dr. Ronald Gates.
Good evening, Superintendent, board members. Happy New Year to you. I have a series of questions, in regards to your gender policy, gender support guideline, definitely highlighting page number 6 in regards to restroom and locker room accessibility. Well, the few questions I want to, raise or just want to ask is that, do you find it or do you believe that you can drive a car across the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean? Do you believe, or is it common sense to believe that you can take a train to the moon? Do you believe, or is it common sense to believe that you can ride a bike to Pluto? Or do you believe, or is it common sense to believe that from a biological standpoint, in which we are in an educational system, that a boy is born a boy and a girl is born a girl? I know that there is belief that those who believe that a boy can be a girl, but it traumatizes young girls when they go to the bathroom. Just last year, a young girl went to the bathroom, and the next thing you know, there's a young man coming into the bathroom, Buncombe County School. It traumatized her that she stayed in there, troubled that a young boy was in the bathroom. We as men protect the safety of our little girls. Now she is traumatized when she goes to the bathroom, she knocks or peeks in which she should just go straight in. It opens up one's liability for mental trauma, mental molestation, and mental rape, eventually physical rape. I want to say this, is that it opens up liability to one, not to protect our children. That's what you've been assigned to. So it holds in all right the board accountability. There's a scripture that says this in Matthew 18:6. But whoever offend one of the little ones or cause them to stumble, you might as well, as it would say, put a millstone around your neck and throw yourself in the sea. For the hand of the Lord is not too short to reach.
Thank you.
Elder Jermaine Davidson.
Superintendent, to the board members, kind of want to piggyback off of the pastor that just left out of here. It is the board's responsibility to protect our children. And we have a responsibility to do that even when it comes to the restroom and locker room situation. When we open up all type of avenues, it actually puts our students in danger by allowing the opposite sex to go into these restrooms. God created us male and female. The board is not responsible for deciding that. The board is responsible for making sure that our kids are protected, for making sure that they're educated, for making sure that they're hiring the right teachers to educate our children. It's not the board's responsibility to get involved into gender decisions and situations and allowing that to put our students in bad situations. Also, allowing our parents to have a say-so in what goes on in that child's life. So we have to be responsible for that. But I thank you for your time tonight, and I ask that you be mindful of this as we move forward, because it is a major issue. I know what the world desires, what the world wants, but we have to want what God says, and He created male and female. It is the board's responsibility to focus on the education and the safety of our children. Thank you all tonight, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, sir.
Jerry Nugent.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jerry Nugent. I have two grandchildren who attend Oakley Elementary. And I'm here tonight as a member of Public School Strong. As a former educator, I was an elementary school counselor. As a grandmother to two Buncombe County students that are just starting their education in kindergarten and second. And as someone who believes deeply in this community and its schools. When one of our students gives their best effort and still comes up short, what do? We don't lower the bar. We don't say, good enough. We ask them to try again. and we support them until they succeed. Tonight, I'm asking you to do the same. I respect our county commissioners. They care about this community, and we're acting in good faith, I believe, with the funding proposal that you all have. But like you and me and all of us, they are regular people holding public office, and when budget decisions are made, they are not negotiating in a vacuum. Across the table are professional lobbyists, lawyers, and special interests whose full-time job is to extract tax breaks and public subsidies for corporations, maybe out-of-state developers. And against that level of pressure, well-intentioned public servants are simply outmatched. The commissioners did their best in setting the 37.76% allocation for schools. The Buncombe County Schools team did their best to push it there. But it's still not enough. I believe that. I think you probably believe that also. And the reality is, in our classrooms, it proves it. If you serve on a nonprofit board, one of your most fundamental responsibilities is to ensure the organization has the resources it needs to fulfill its mission. If you sit on a corporate board, you're expected to do the same, plus generate a return. You are the Board of Education, and one of your most important duties is to ensure that our schools have the funding they need to educate children well, not just adequately, not just on paper, but in reality. So tonight I'm asking you to do something both respectful and courageous. Decide to vote no. Vote no because this funding level does not meet the needs of our students, our teachers, or our families. Vote no and ask the negotiators and the commissioners to try again. Because our kids deserve a school system defended with the same intensity that powerful interests defend their tax breaks. That is the fight we were in, whether we name it or not. Our students are watching.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, that concludes public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Next on our agenda, again, I'll remind that we did amend our agenda. The local funding formula will be for discussion only. And I believe our CFO, Ms. Thorpe, has a brief presentation, again, focused on the general working mechanics, key terms of the local current expense funding formula as it stands. Ms. Thorpe.
Good afternoon, Chairman Elliott, members of the board, and Dr. Jackson. I would like to begin, have a small presentation about the local current expense funding formula. We're going to talk about the background and the history of how this came about, the purpose, the term, the ADM changes that could impact the formula, the emergency section, and an example of the calculation if this had been in place for this fiscal year. There's been a lot of research between the three finance entities. That would be Buncombe County Schools, Asheville City Schools, and the finance department at the county. We have reached out across the state, talked with a lot of different LEAs and different counties to figure out what was working, what wasn't working, and picking one that looks similar to, and doing all the research on the numbers that would look to fit our needs the best. And then we developed the formula-based solution that we think will definitely provide a more financially sound method than we are currently doing, that uses actual gross revenues collected from unrestricted revenue streams. And this will allow us to have more predictability and stability in our budget process each year. This model also builds in actual growth of revenues collected by Buncombe County for the ad valorem taxes. Ad valorem taxes are mostly property and sales tax, and that word means basically what is the value of those items at the time. So this brings in actuals versus a projection, because as you all know, projections can be anything as you build out budgets, trying to do your best guess. Actuals produces more revenue for us. The purpose was this agreement would set forth the manner in which the county would provide the funding to the school systems for the operation and management of Asheville City Schools and Buncombe County Schools for a term agreement, commonly referred to as what we call the local current expense funding formula. This does not bring into any capital funds or any of the other restricted general statutes that is legislated before the 4042, the Article 39, etc. This is local current expense only funding formula. The term shall be for 3 fiscal years to start with. Fiscal year 27, which, let me clarify, that is 26-27 school year coming up, starting July the 1st, going through June 30th, and then the 28-29. So 3 years, and this shall naturally expire on June 30th of 29. This agreement may be amended or modified by the written agreement of all parties. Unless any party submits a written request to modify or amend this agreement by January 15th of the new budget year coming up, the agreement shall automatically renew for an annual additional 2 years. Renew for an additional 2-year term. There's a calculation in there for average daily membership change. If there is a change of 2% or more in total, that's Asheville City Schools plus Buncombe County Schools plus the charter schools, then there would be an adjustment, either an increase or a decrease of 0.5%, half of a percent, and I've given you examples. It would be from 37.6 to 38.26 if it increases more than 2% or more, or it would be 37.26 if it were to decrease by 2% or more. That would be the baseline for the calculation. There's a clause in here. Nothing in this agreement shall prohibit the school systems from requesting additional funds to address emergencies or any other unforeseen circumstances. And that definition is written out. The boards will be able to advocate, as they have always advocated, and will continue to advocate for our students and their needs to be met. We as a system always try to advocate for everything possible for our staff and students. I've given you an example. This is actual. If we were to be using this formula this year, the property taxes that were collected, now remember this was the numbers through hurricane. They were from March 1st, 2024 through February of 2025. That is the property taxes collected during that time frame. That's unrestricted. That would be used. The next line is the sales tax that had been collected the same period of time and would be used. So the total revenue that the county had collected that was unrestricted is that number, $316 million. So you take that number and we're looking at this is our actual ADM. The prior year certified ADM from the previous is 29,217. The current certified ADM is 29,184. There's less than a 2% change, so the base percentage would remain 37.76 calculation. You take that 316 million and times it by that 37.76 to get the 119,478,121 that would have been distributed amongst Asheville City Schools and Buncombe County Schools. Now, that is more than we have received. We would have had a 1.9% growth in our number if we had been using this model this year compared to what we are receiving. So the percentage breakdown is, right now, the certified amount is Buncombe County Schools is 85.03% of the population, and Asheville City is 14.97%, and that would be our percentage, $101.5 million that we would have received if we were using this base funding, local current expense funding formula this year. Does that make sense? Okay. That is a quick summary of what the agreement is that we are looking at. trying to summarize it so that everybody understands it fully and has a good idea of what we're all working to achieve is to meet the needs of our students and to have a predictable and a stable way of figuring out what our local funding will be.
Thank you, Ms. Thorpe. Board members, any questions or discussion?
I have a couple of
Yes,
questions.
Ms. Clemens.
Just to be clear, the certified ADM that you covered, the 29,000, that's both Buncombe County and Asheville City combined, is that
And
right?
charter.
And charter, thank you.
That is
Just want to be clear on that.
Yes, that is the 3 entities added together that the county is responsible for funding under legal legislation.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing is, in meetings that we've been in with county commissioners in the past, and particularly for me within the Capital Commission, a lot of what the county did, I believe, was always using projections. And because of Helene, they projected that the property tax was going to be less than what it had probably ever been because of the hurricane, right, and the loss of homes. But in reality, the actual percentage is higher than they projected. Is that a correct statement?
That is a correct statement.
Okay, so with that, makes it more positive for us, because if we were still using projections versus actuals, then our amount would be less. Is that a true statement?
That is an accurate statement.
Okay. And so, one last thing, I just can't get over the housing projects or homes that are going up, even in my area here in the Emma district. And so with all those new houses, that will become more property tax, right? So, and the reevaluation that they're doing. So this is, in your opinion, this is a positive move? Is that a true statement?
That is a true statement. This is a
Okay.
very positive move. This formula builds in the automatic growth each year of the increases in all, not just houses and homes, all unrestricted property tax.
Okay.
That could be
That's
vehicles, that
cars?
could be cars, that could be, they receive all of that. That's in here. Plus, the sales tax, it continues to grow again. Each year, there's a statistical average you can see. There is growth every year in property taxes and sales tax for years that has occurred. So we looked at all this historically and also looked at projections moving forward from an economic standpoint. And this builds in the growth that's happening in Buncombe County automatically.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clemens. Any other board members, questions, comments? Mr. Cheatham.
Thank you, Ms. Thorpe. At what point in the year would our system be notified of the total amount that we'd be receiving for the next school year?
We have it built in that it's going to be, that we're going to be notified by March 15th. And that's going to also align with when we're always notified about the Capital 4042 and Article 39 numbers usually is around March 15th. And that's when we're going to be notified with this. But we have the ability to look at all of the sales tax. You can look at it on NCDOR. You can look at everything they're collecting by month. And you can see what Buncombe County and any county is bringing in by month. And you can look at a sales tax and property tax. So it gives us a really good way of measuring everything and accountability, like it's all there.
Okay. So that would be roughly 2 months earlier than we usually have our numbers?
Well, maybe 2 to 6 months. I mean,
Right.
we usually get it usually around June, right around May, June. We finally get a vote around June 16th of what they're giving us and what we've asked for. So we're going to have a very good estimate around January, and then a final number by March 15th. So a really good, close to 6 months better than what we're currently experiencing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cheatham. Ms. Churchill.
Hey, thanks again for working so hard on this.
You're
Stork.
welcome.
I really appreciate it. The one thing I guess I just wanted to be clear again is the concerns about if this is, locking us in and not being able to advocate for more, or at any point, could we be looking at the shorter end of the stick? So I know it's hard, we don't have a crystal ball, but the way that this is set up, the only way that I can see this, really being a negative is if the bottom falls out of Buncombe County. And I would think if that's the case, then we're also looking at many more issues than just what our funding formula looks like. But this is a jumping off point that you will have every year to start with without having to, I feel like it's like the one stable thing that you're going to have every year compared to what we see with the state and the federal.
That is a very good point. So as you know, right now, we still don't have a state budget, and federal is up in arms, and there's lots of things in the House and the Senate of the federal budget that we're looking at that could impact us. This would give us one piece of our funding revenue sources that would have a more stable and predictable amount while we're trying to always do these budgets with usually everything unknown. But this would help tremendously.
Right. And then my other question is, and I think you might have mentioned it, but the what the numbers that we're looking at now, does that bring us back to where we were before Helene?
Let me give you the math, the numbers. Okay. Before Helene, the year before Helene hit, we were approved for $95 million. Okay. The year that Helene hit, 24-25, we were supposed to get, it was approved for a little over $99 million. Then the hurricane hit, and in January of 25, due to projections, we were cut $3.9 million here and almost 700 at the Asheville City Schools, around 4.5 million we were all cut. And so that brought us back down to 95 million, little over 95 million that we actually received from local funds. And then if you'll recall, this year, they put us back to the 99, little over 99 million, but it includes the 3 million that they took from Article 39 to use for operations. So this, if you look at this number, we would have collected 101.592 instead of 99, and we would have had our full Article 39. This puts us way above where we were before Helene.
Okay, thank you. So the way that I look at that is, we're talking about 99, but really that's more like 96 million.
That is correct, because the 3's coming out of Article 39.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I would just like to say that I want to express my gratitude to all the parties involved, the commissioners, Asheville City leaders, and our folks. This is a step in such a positive direction. Having been with Buncombe County Schools for several decades now, I see this as a real positive to have these discussions and have an opportunity to really plan a budget as we would a home budget and kind of know and plan ahead for goals, set goals, and things that we know that are going to be coming up. So I just thank everyone who's been involved in that. I know it's been tedious, and the conversation is not over yet. But thanks to everyone who's brought this to the forefront. To me, it's been a long time coming, so thank you very much.
Thank you, and I wanted to say one more thing. It doesn't lock us in. We all have the ability, each body, each board can stop this, modify it, go back, ask. It just helps us plan, like you said, and predict. And so I just appreciate the opportunity that we worked together as 3 finance organizations and worked on numbers. We all agree on this sheet that these are the numbers we're talking about. And so the county has brought this, and Asheville City has seen this. Like, these are the true numbers, and we can see them by month. Like, there's a sheet that feeds into this that shows property tax and sales tax by month that's being collected, actual collections.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Just to be,
Yeah,
just to
sure.
be clear, so January 15th of next year, if we move forward with this funding formula, we'll have the opportunity to amend or change this agreement.
No, Chris, do you want to answer that?
Sure, I'll be happy to. So in this document that you have in front of you, thank you for that. In this document that you have in front of you, there are two provisions that relate to the term and termination. The first is that this agreement is intended and will last for 3 fiscal years. So that is the intent of the parties. After that 3rd fiscal year, it can be modified by the parties. So that's point number 1, is that January 15th relates to after the 3rd fiscal year that the parties at that point could ask for it to be modified. The other provision, which is the reason you're not approving this tonight, is we're trying to clean up the language, work through some technical issues with the county attorneys. We may collapse the other provision, which is paragraph H, which talks about future boards. We may collapse that in with the term provision, because what that paragraph addresses is, as a matter of law, no current county commission can bind a future county commission as to discretionary acts like funding. So what that paragraph says is that after every November election, and we've got a November election coming up, all 3 boards will have to vote again to ratify, in effect, this agreement. And if all 3 boards do not agree, then we are back to the status quo prior to this agreement, where the boards just make their requests and the county has to decide. So that's an important point. I'm glad you raised it. The intent is for it to be binding for 3 years, but it's only binding for 3 years if successive boards continue to vote for it. And then it's to be looked at again after the 3 years, but if all 3 boards are happy with it after 3 years, it will extend for 2 more years. So the ultimate life of this document is 5 years.
But we will vote again.
You will
when
vote
the new
again
board is
after
placed.
the November election.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
correct.
Thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
Yes, Reverend Martin.
Well, this is just a comment. I just want to tell the public, don't stress that we are going to a formula, because this actually would be a good idea. When Helene came into our area, the county said that we're not going to receive any funding from taxes that much. It's going to come in slow. But coming from a finance background, I want you to understand that 90 to 95% of the homes in Buncombe County, the bank owns it. So the bank sends the taxes in to the county. So they didn't look at that formula right when Helene came in, when they reduced our costs. Because the taxes are going to come in, because your bank will automatically pay your taxes even if you don't have escrow in your account. And so when banks looking at stuff, when the counties look at stuff with this formula, it locks us in, because we're going to see it change every single moment it hits their scene, hits their budget line item. So if you look at the website she's talking about, when Helene came in, Buncombe County received 88% of taxes on houses. And it came in that quick because the banks forced it into the county. So you only got 5% homes in Buncombe County that are not paid for. They are paid for. So that's not a lot of people paying taxes on their own, because your banks are doing it for you. So with this formula, it locks us in, it gives us more money, because if we would've got the 95, if we got the 101 this time, nobody would be complaining about no money. We went word out fund account, and no one will be talking about layoffs in it from any school system. So this formula will help us. I wouldn't fight it if I were you, coming from the finance background. Let it run its course, and if something changes, listen, this is the best team. Y'all stand up. Stand up, finance team. Stand up. Stand up. And I want you all to know that these 4 right here are going to watch our backs, and they're going to make sure that everything comes out the way that it needs to come out for our schools, so that we can write these budgets depending on what that school need is. So let's try it before we bark at it. And then if it needs to be changed, trust me, Tina will come and tell us, I don't like this part no more. So let's try it and let's move forward with it. And when we get everything aired out with them lawyers over there, then we can make things happen.
All right, thank you, Reverend Martin. Tina, just any other questions from the board? Just a couple of questions. This coming year is a reval year.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
correct?
it is, this year.
So, right, so the way this will roll out, assuming it's approved by all three bodies, is we're using this year's enrollment. We'll start the 37.76, correct? 6.7. I can't believe I just said
7.6.
that. All right. That's exciting. Let's start. So,
No, don't get me tickled, go ahead.
too late. 37.76. This year, and so when this goes into effect, that will be 37.76% of all the collected unrestricted property and sales tax collected through, I think March is basically the
End of February 28th or the 29th if it's a leap year.
end of February,
Mhm.
correct. This being a reval year, property taxes are likely increasing, right, for the next fiscal year. And so if our ADM and enrollment basically stays flat within the 2% threshold, then there's natural effective growth built into this year over year. So we're at 101 now. If that natural growth takes place, it's likely going to be, I mean,
We averaged
Can
3%.
you-
We averaged 3% growth in Buncombe County over the last 20
Yeah.
years. So every year, year over year, is an average of 3% growth.
we're looking at average of 3% growth every year for 3 years. Unless it's extended to 2 more, then it's 5.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, so that leads me to my next question is on timing. So the state hasn't passed a budget. So and I'm interested in the timing of teacher raises, staff raises, and the timing of that, and when we learn what that number should be in relation to when we know what our budget's going to be. So in this case, this year, we don't have a state budget. There's rumors that they could reconvene in April or something, but as I understand it, there's really no expectation of state budget movement on teacher raises. Is that your assumption? So, but in a normal year, if we had a state budget, and when do we typically see what those teacher raises are supposed to be? Because that that does impact that, how we manage our budget dramatically every year.
So right now, let me explain this. Right now, what's in one of the budgets, not the governor's, but one of them's at 6% for raises for certified staff. One of them's like at 2% for certified staff. There's a range that's in there that they usually, when they come together on a voted on state budget compromise, it usually lands in the middle somewhere. So depending on when the state budget passes, we don't really know, but we see what's written whenever they come out with the proposed from each of the areas. So we know what's written in those, but we don't know when they're going to ever pass a state budget this year. So when we build our budgets, we do our best to project off of historical numbers, and we usually put 5% certified in our build of our projections for salaries for certified staff and 3% for non-certified to try to hit in there. And don't forget the retirement rate and the other matching of our health insurance that we have to pay. So we build all that in January, February, March, and then by the time we get to April or May, we're trying to figure out what we think is going to actually be passed as a state budget. And so here we sit in January with no passing of any salaries increases for certified staff.
So we're budgeting for 5. This formula basically kind of locks in a 3% increase. And then the state, is somewhere between the 3 and the So effectively, there's no concern in your mind that the rate of growth in this formula in total revenue, that generates the total revenue number for us, might be slightly below a state teacher raise percentage or anything like that?
Keep in mind that they are supposed to adjust their allotments. If they give a raise, that covers the state employees. And then don't forget that we have a local set of numbers that we pay regardless, to make sure we're trying to meet the needs of our students. But the average should still come out based on what historical, and I'm not saying that something crazy doesn't happen and I have to come back. If there's something really high, crazy that passes, then we would just talk about that. But normally, over all the historical time, it's been averaging around 3 as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Did that explain?
To put it in summary, like, you and your team are smart enough to budget for this issue of teacher raises, that we do have to honor that on the locally paid teacher side as well with this local supplement. Like, that's what we use this mainly to do, is pay for those salaries. So
The majority of this is used on salaries.
On
Our
salaries.
budgets are close to 85, 87% salaries.
got it. Okay. Well, thank you very much again. And Ms. Churchill has another question.
Sorry, I just had another thought, and I'm going to preface it with, remember, I am a science girl, not a math girl. So we were talking about the increase of 3% historically year over year. Is that assuming that the county will keep the tax rate where it is? I know that there in the past they've also looked at, and I was trying to remember the name of it, but like it comes out like a revenue neutral. Thank you. I had neutral, but I couldn't remember the rest. But if they did that so that it didn't become a hardship on homeowners or property owners, what does that look like for us? I mean, is that a risk that we're looking at, that we won't see growth, but there may be more needs that year? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
So
Okay.
a revenue neutral budget, if they try to change the tax formula but lower the tax per on the 100th or on the unit that they're dividing by, they're trying to say it's a revenue neutral event to do a tax evaluation. And so, but if you look at all the historical numbers of actuals, there's still a 3% growth because there's all the buildings going on, there's all the industry, because that's industry too. Like when Mission changed over to profit, that was huge. And then when Pratt & Whitney opened in July 2 years ago, that was a huge tax increase. So that's in that number as well. You can't just think just property tax and reevaluation. So that's a very good point. But looking historically at actuals, there's still been an average increase of 3% every year in this county for years.
Got it. Thank you very much. And that was actually a very good way to explain to somebody who's not a math person.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I just have one more question, which is the stability of enrollment across ACS, BCS, and charters. That's the piece that I think is important to consider, that our enrollment can ebb and flow depending on all kinds of situations. Students can come and go in and out of charter schools. But in total, in Buncombe County, I would presume that ACS, BCS plus charter school enrollment is fairly stable. Is that, because I've never actually looked at all three combined to see how flat that line would be.
We checked that. It's been pretty stable over the last few years. There has been some change in private school and homeschool. Private school stayed pretty well. The opportunity scholarship has hit, and then homeschool has increased in Buncombe County quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Well, any other questions or comments? One last call. Okay. Hearing none, thank you very much for the presentation and again, the successful audit. The
Thank
finance
you.
team.
Thank you. I want to thank my team.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I do want to take a moment just, to acknowledge the staff of Buncombe County Schools, the staff of Asheville City, and of course the County Commission staff and elected members that have participated in discussions and trying to figure this out to help this be a positive move for all parties that is sustainable and predictable and allows us to do our job within the school system to allocate the funds that we know that we're going to get. And I do feel it's worth notable, right, that our county commissioners are allocating, 37.76% of all unrestricted property taxes and sales tax in the county. That's, a pretty resounding statement that in this county, our elected officials, our community members, our residents all highly value public education enough to allot 37.7% of all property and sales tax collected to educating children in the county. So with that, I want to say thank you to all those parties before we move on.
Hey, Chairman Elliott,
Yes.
can I just mention one thing?
Mhm.
Chairman Elliott, Mr. Martin and I went to a finance training this week, and there were lots of different counties there, Board of Education members from different counties, and we heard from so many that they don't get the support of their county commissioners. So I do want to recognize our county commissioners for their the support that they give our public schools in Buncombe County and Asheville City, because hearing other counties talk about they get no support or they have no relationship with those folks made me feel pretty good about where we are with that. Thank you.
Next on our agenda, action agenda, is the resolution supporting local control of school calendars. Dr. Jackson, if you will, appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This evening, the board has the opportunity to consider the resolution by the Buncombe County Board of Education supporting calendar flexibility. Whereas North Carolina law provides the Buncombe County Board of Education powers of supervision and control of the public schools located within Buncombe County. Whereas local control over establishing school calendars is an integral component of a school system supervision and the administrative powers with which the Buncombe County Board of Education has been vested. Whereas in 2004, the North Carolina General Assembly set a statewide mandatory start and end date for all school districts, parenthetically the school calendar law. Whereas the North Carolina General Assembly amended the school calendar law in 2012 to further restrict the starting date for schools. Whereas the mandated school start date is no earlier than the Monday closest to August 26th, and the end date is no later than the Friday closest to June 11th. Whereas the school calendar law resulted in school starting no earlier than August 29th for the 2022-2023 school year, no earlier than August 28th for the 2023-2024 school year, no earlier than August 26th for the 2024-2025 school year, and no earlier than August 25 for the current 2025-2026 school year. Whereas a late August start date means the schools within Buncombe County are unable to complete the first semester until mid to late January. Whereas the school calendar law requires high school students to take first semester exams after the winter break, which negatively impacts students and faculty, and further is an inefficient use of instructional time. Whereas the school calendar law does not align with community college and university calendars, making it nearly impossible for high school students who graduate at the end of the first semester to enroll in college courses in January, because college courses start before or at the same time as high school students complete final exams. Whereas exams for advanced placement classes are given on the same day nationwide, and the current calendar law shortens the amount of time that Buncombe County students have to learn the material and prepare before the exam. Whereas it is well documented through multiple studies that children will experience a phenomenon known as learning loss during breaks, which has a disproportionate impact on low-income children. Whereas with little flexibility built into the calendar, scheduling makeup days is extremely challenging, increasing the likelihood of using unpopular days like spring break and Saturdays as makeup days. Whereas with little flexibility built into the calendar, scheduling workdays and professional development during the school year for faculty and staff is almost impossible during the fall semester and remains challenging in the spring semester, despite the significant increase in areas which faculty and staff are required by law to receive training. Whereas fall sports and band programs have not changed to coincide with the state-mandated school calendar, causing some football and band events to occur weeks before school begins. Whereas neither charter schools nor private schools are required to follow the school calendar law. Whereas allowing schools to start earlier in August will not impact the overall length of the summer break, as the school year will also end earlier. Whereas parents overwhelmingly support a school calendar where the fall semester ends in December. Whereas local school boards are better equipped to understand the balancing act of meeting the community's needs and maximizing student success. Whereas restoring local control of school calendars will allow the Buncombe County Board of Education to meet the calendar preferences of Buncombe County's families, educators, and businesses in our community, while allowing for innovative experimental approaches to improve student achievement. Whereas over the last several years, school districts and other local governments across North Carolina have adopted similar resolutions requesting the General Assembly to provide local control and flexibility in setting the school calendar. Whereas on December 12, 2022, the North Carolina House Select Committee on an Education System for North Carolina's Future issued its finding that the current school calendar law is not best suited to the needs of students and educators, and that local boards of education should be given greater calendar flexibility, the Select Committee recommended the quote, quote, General Assembly take action and change the school calendar law, end quote. Whereas in 2025, the North Carolina Senate introduced and passed Senate Bill 754, which allows local school systems to start on the Monday closest to August 19th, but only if each semester has the equal number of school days. And whereas the North Carolina House of Representatives has yet to vote on Senate Bill 754, whereas if Senate Bill 754 is adopted and signed into law, school systems could start school 1 week earlier so long as each semester has an equal number of school days. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Buncombe County Board of Education supports an amendment to the current school calendar law, providing local school boards more flexibility in the start date of the school calendar. Be it further resolved that 1, in the alternative to the full calendar flexibility, the Board of Education supports a revision to Senate Bill 754, specifically the removal of the requirement that each semester of the school year have an equal number of school days. 2, the chair and superintendent are authorized to disseminate this resolution to members of the North Carolina General Assembly. 3, the board encourages parents, students, and other community members to contact their North Carolina legislators to advocate for calendar flexibility. 4, the board requests the Buncombe County Commissioners and other local governments within Buncombe County to adopt a resolution advocating calendar flexibility, adopted by the Buncombe County Board of Education this 15th day of January 2026.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Do you have any further comments on this item?
I will simply say that our staff certainly appreciates the advocacy on the part of our Board of Education and many others for school calendar flexibility. This week, today, was a perfect example of why the school calendar law does not work. Our high school students have been taking exams this week in school districts that do not follow the school calendar law, and I'm making no inference about that, simply that for those districts, their students were able to take their exams before the winter holiday break. And so we certainly appreciate and applaud this advocacy and strongly support it. If Senate Bill 754 goes forward, simply removing the clause of an equal number of days between the two semesters would at least allow us to start school a week earlier, which would allow us to get exams before Christmas and get us in closer alignment with our community college calendar, knowing so many of our students take advantage of AB Tech classes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. Any other questions or comment from the board around this resolution?
Mr. Chair, if I can just mention one other thing from our workshop this week. We did hear, there's a lot of questions from parents and public about, Kim, why don't y'all go ahead and start earlier? Because Henderson County does, or Haywood County does. And we do hear that a lot. We take an oath to follow the law, and if we don't, there could be consequences. And one of the things that we learned on this week was that there are about 30-plus districts that have changed their calendar. 2 of those districts have been sued, and that the calendar bill, I think, that's in the House now, that if districts don't abide by this, they will receive penalties. So that's what I wrote down in my notes from this week. And so, again, I know it's a sore spot. It is for me too, quite frankly. And so I hope this resolution does some help in getting others, just like in the same situation that we're in, to sign on to a resolution.
Thank you, Ms. Clemens. Any other comments or questions? I will say, for education advocates out there listening, I have heard multiple times that, hey, don't worry about the school calendar bill. There's a new law that's coming and it's going to fix everything. And we passed this resolution intentionally to call it out, that the law that is about to pass can seem like it's fixing the school calendar issue, but with the mandate that both semesters have to be the same number of days, it makes the situation a bit untenable. And so it doesn't actually fix the real issue. And so we wanted to call that out as a board. So thank you, board, for your advocacy. With that, I will entertain a motion to accept this resolution on the table.
So moved.
I believe that's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and the resolution is adopted. Excuse me. Next on our agenda is our consent agenda. I want to remind the board that we did add in the correction to budget amendment number 1 into the consent agenda. On our consent agenda, we have minutes from December 11th, 2025, open session regular, personnel report, January 15th, 2025, 2025-2026 budget amendment number 2, renaming the school facility, Irwin High School, athletic capital outlay request, AC Reynolds High School, BCS school nutrition procurement plan, notification update to sole source vendor pricing, authorization to award contract, CA Irwin Middle School middle roof replacement, authorization to award contract, Irwin High School gym roof replacement, authorization to award contract, Irwin High School curtain wall replacement, and policies for second reading, 1740-4010 student or parent grievance procedure, 2125-7315 confidential information, 3220 technology in the education program, 3225-4312 7320 technology responsible use, 3226-4025 internet safety, 3227-7322 web page development, 3400 evaluation of student progress, 3460 graduation requirements, 4130 discretionary administration release policy, 4270 6145 concussion and head injury, 5150 7313 reporting to external agencies, 6310 organization of student transportation services, 6450 purchase of students, 7220 15
Purchase of services.
Oh my God, thank you. Purchase of services. Long day. 6450 purchase of services, 7220 1570 grievance procedure for employees, 7910 retirement. Policy committee has been busy. Is there a motion on the table to approve the consent agenda? Is there a second? I believe I got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. The consent agenda passes. The information agenda, we have our finance reports and policies for first reading. 3101 dual enrollment, 3101R dual enrollment, 3102R online instruction guidelines and procedures, 5015R school volunteers. Announcements and future meetings. The next regular board meeting, Board of Education meeting is February the 5th, 2026 at 5:30 p.m. right here in the Minotaurium. Work session updates and closed session begin at 4 p.m. in the executive conference room at 175 Bingham Road, Asheville, North Carolina. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. Okay, motion in a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned.